testing 1 2 3. Audio testing 1 2 3. Ugh, mic is dead. Audio testing 1 2 3. No, mic is fine. All right. Yeah, mic is fine. All right. Can we have a darker mode here? Yes, we can. Oh, man. Ugh. Holy. Let's say I slept fairly well, relatively speaking, but 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock, I'm jolted awake. Because YouTube algorithm is crazy. I'm telling you, it's deep. It's not just some simple like, if you like this one, then all other people like the same thing and watch that one, and whatever weird shit it's doing in the background, it works. It's the task of choosing the next video to watch amongst a sea of almost infinite content. You just let Google man. You can't fight it anymore. It's so good that you can't fight it anymore. In a way, the greatest asset that Google gains from this, it has a map. It has a map to your inner psyche, perhaps more than you would even know about yourself. I guess that's why advertisers will pay top dollar to access this information. So, but like many other things that Google offers, you can use it to your advantage. You can either pay them for premium YouTube or just run an ad block system. And you get access to all their services without having to pay a dime. Although I don't think this will continue on forever. I think one day everyone's going to warm up to the fact that you got to pay Google for their YouTube at one point, because in my mind, what they offer, people may forget. People used to pay for online storage. Now, when you're allowed to store, I've probably stored like gigabytes and upon gigabytes of video data by streaming nonstop like this. If Google were to disappear, again, for me, one of the most useful tools in my thinking toolkit is the subjunctive of if it were gone. Yeah? If you want to know the value of something, subjunctive it with gone. If the thing were gone, if I didn't have it, what would it be like? The thought exercise will very quickly strip away the fog and reveal the true nature, the true value of something. So if I were to say, well, what if YouTube were gone? You say you like it so much. What if it were gone? Yeah, I'm in trouble, because storage is number one, and two is accessibility to a crowd. So it's no fun to store your information on a hard drive locally. No one will ever see it. Way more fun to put it out there for the public to see, because the fun part is that we don't know who's out there. I mean, everyone's out there. The huge valuation of YouTube is that everyone seems to be on it. Well, I mean, there's TikTok and stuff, but let's go with the flow and say that TikTok is for youngsters, hipsters, and that likely there's probably usage of both at the same time, I would imagine. YouTube is just too ubiquitous. And now I realize no wonder why it's important for them to keep their stars. Like, if they pay MKBHD, like, the curve of the payments are extremely how should we say this? I mean, it's fair. Like, they're not paying them. I don't think they're paying MKBHD higher dollars per click or ad or whatever impression. But the way the world works is that when popular gets popular, it gets even more popular. But anyway, the point is that because these stars reside on the site, we have to come back to see it's exclusive. I can't say this word. Exclusivity yet again, right? It's the same principle as we buy PlayStations 1s for Final Fantasy. We watch YouTube because of whatever star, name your star that you're following. For me, it's MKBHD. He is. I wish he pumped up more videos, honestly, but I guess it takes time for him to make these videos. Well, his videos are top notch. I want to say through streaming, I've learned to control a form of insecurity that has dogged me my entire life. And that is, if I open my mouth to the public, or if I say something, well, nobody's going to want to listen because it's not interesting. Now, I think what happened, if I can do my own psychoanalysis, is when I was rich and had side chicks, I tell you, side chicks will inflate your ego like no tomorrow, man. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine every time you feel lonely, you just spin the side chick wheel? Number two, just try number three. One of them is bound to be available. It's just the way it works. If you take 1,000 people, how many of them are available today? Like, they're not doing anything. They're bored. And you take 1,000,000 people. You're guaranteed at 1,000,000 people, you're guaranteed 1,000. But one? Of course that person's not going to be available, like, most of the time. They'll have to work hard to make themselves available sometimes if you need it. But if, herein lies the benefit of having more than just one partner or friend or someone you can, right? And the thing is that there's a strong push from society to stick with one partner. Now look, you have to ask yourself, is that a virtue or an arbitrary rule made by society and your parents? When you seek the applause and approval from staying faithfully married, who is it you're trying to please? Now, I think we should ask this question, because then we condemn people who go for multiple partners, who have side chicks. I do not. The more I live, what's funny is when my uncle in Taiwan, he was found out to be having more than one, let's say a younger partner, right? He was happily married. He was, I don't want to say happily, that's a judgment. He was happily, I say it again. I say that, you know why I say that? It's because his wife was so wonderful. Of all the wives I've seen in my biological family, his was the best. I mean, she exhibited virtues of patience, temperance, a deft, gentle touch. She was a nurse. I think women who are nurses, it's God's work to take care of the suffering, honestly. I mean, it's no wonder it's labeled in movies as an honorable profession. When a woman can offer her, what's that word? I don't want to say gentleness. It's not femininity either. There's a good word for this. The word that describes a woman's caring. The image of Mother Teresa, even though when you look her up, she has flaws too. Who doesn't? But I mean, like, that is an adjective out there. Anyway, woman who can tap into that and provide comfort and care for those who are suffering and in need, I believe is an honorable profession. I would not be sitting here speaking like this if it weren't for the nurses who came over. I remember, in particular, Chisato-san, who was, in my mind, still a very good person. Like, do kind of regret cutting ties. But I'll tell you why I did that anyway. It's not because I was being like, there's a reason for this. Anyway, about streaming is that when I listen to my own streaming, the most valuable thing about streaming is to listen to yourself after, even though it may be uncomfortable. To look at the end screen that said you got 0 people watch you and be okay with it. And then sometimes the videos, it seems, they will garner a lot of views for whatever reason. When you investigate more closely, those videos were promoted by Google. The algorithm caught its attention. It decided to show it to a lot of people as they're browsing the site. That's it. That's the only reason. As far as I'm concerned, I only have about 4 or 5 quote unquote fans. These are people who would come back no matter what I post. Well, not no matter what, but the algorithm has picked up on them saying that they like your content and they're coming back for it. I'm okay with that, you know. Just to get 4 or 5 fans for me is like, I'm really happy. And whoever you are, I just thank you. I guess I don't know if I should even say thank you, because here's the thing, right? You then learn that view counts, although they are a huge part of the qualities you are as a person, I believe view counts are also heavily influenced by the algorithm. They're working together. They're like a synergistic. You can't get the algorithm to notice you if you have no qualities. But even if you had qualities, you couldn't get those views without the algorithm. So they're operating a very kind of like a feedback loop between them, the algorithm and your qualities as a person, which just means nothing really, that we have to respect the algorithm. At the same time, the people who do get famous on YouTube, I believe, actually deserve it. Not always. There's some who really manipulate the algorithm to their advantage, and they don't show many qualities beside knowing how to game the game. But there are other people who truly make quality content on YouTube. They truly do. They play the game to a limited extent, and they get a lot of fame. And in my mind, those people are wonderful. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing bad to say about MKBHD or Dr. K. There's nothing bad to say about them. They're just doing hard work. And in my mind, MKBHD still loves tech, still loves reporting on it. Dr. K really wants to help people get through. Yeah, he'll pick up some money and fame along the way. So what? That's what makes him keep working hard. If you don't reward people with money, some fame, and hopefully some sex too, they just stop working hard. It's just harder to work hard. You know what I mean? You need some egging on. People are not like. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we vilify the getting wealth or getting fame, but really, should we? This is deserved. Okay, like, it's not like they're killing people for the fame or something. It's deserved. The question really is whether or not it's deserved or not, right? How they earned it. If they earned it through very unscrupulous means, okay, we'll look at that closely. But if they just did what they like and got people to follow them, that's just, they deserve it. There should be no objection on that point. But going back to streaming, again, I haven't completed my point, is that when you look at yourself, all of your faults, all of your insecurities like that, and it's like a mirror, streaming is, to do it is scary. To do it consistently is not that hard. The hard part is starting, the first one, and then facing the fact that you're just, and then you need a bit of a breakthrough, I think, like something that you do garnered attention, and you think to yourself, hey, you know what? I am not completely worthless. I've got some evidence here. And then when that happens, good things happen, I mean, in the past, I was propped up by the love, quote unquote love. I don't think it was love, but the attention. Let's say the attention of girls, honestly. But this was really supported by my teaching job and the fact that they bring them in in volume. I mean, relatively speaking, in volume, to the school, where I can sit in the center of the stage and act like the man, the alpha male in the house. Not because I deserved it, really just because I was the teacher. And it's no wonder in that kind of environment that the teacher gets laid way more than they would normally. How could you not think that way? Because usually people who sign up for English school, as my friend Nobu astutely pointed out, this guy's sharp between the ears. My friend Nobu, he's really sharp. People go to this English school not really to learn English, even though that is a side thing, because they want to belong somewhere, because they seek something more. That more could be anything from validation, it can be seeking belonging, or you want to fuck someone. Honestly, the owner of the school knew this very well too. So it's no wonder why in an environment like that, and the girls are flying in at the ages of 20 or 30, the demographics will show they're prime for mating. I know it sounds gross, but this is just the cold hard facts. They come in all ages, honestly, but the older generation, the housewives, the real housewives, they come at the higher ages. I mean, in the morning classes, and then in night classes, you would get more of the young people. And then, of course, because people don't work always on weekends, weekdays, and they got shifts, they will also come in the daytime, the young ones, and that's the best time, because now you have an isolated scenario. If I'm not mistaken, most of the hookups, I'm trying to recall, yeah, they happen during the daytime classes when the younger generation of girls were available because of their work situation. But anyhow, the point being that, what was the point? The point is that your ego can be propped up at any given time in life by something external. Whether that's you got side chicks out the wazoo, or your job. Your job can provide you a lot of ego. Like, people stroke your ego at your job, then you'll love your job, I think. Or a lot of things, right? But here's a catch. If you rely on an external source of validation that is not entirely within your domain, your control, you become dependent on it, don't you? And I remember this to be true. When I left my job at English Garden, the school I worked at, I was terrified. Who is going to supply me with my end supply of chicks? And to be fair, as I got older and got locked into a relationship with one of the girls that became my wife, I thought she was the best, I couldn't even get laid with any of these girls anymore. They wouldn't be interested in me anymore. I must have exuded an energy that I'm off the table, or I'm just getting old. When I was in my 20s, though, different story, yeah? In 20s, I think you're like, I think you look a lot more attractive to people when you're in your 20s. But anyway, I was terrified of leaving the job, but I had to, because I wanted to take the app that was doing well to its full potential, and that meant leaving the school. But I was terrified. I remember the Monday after I left my job, I remember this very clearly. Is my cat is cutting back? Anyway, I thought my other cat's meowing because. Anyway, so and at any given time, the supplier of the validation, the supplier of the ego strokes, was from an external source, and I would fear losing it. But what that means is you give that other side power, right? If the other side is going to be, like, for instance, a school, a boss, a partner, a woman with plural, or sales, That can be you know, um, it can be whatever you want. Okay, in every stage of my life, I had a different supplier of the validation. I also had stages of life where there were none. Mostly, I think during the ages of 13 to 20, before me my first, before meeting my first girlfriend. I believe there's almost no source of validation at that point. That's why I was miserable. So I spent all my time on the internet, where I could have been someone, where I was kind of someone. Like I was kind of a someone on the internet, but not really. Anyway, I think Galen was right. My man Galen, he's so young and so correct. His theories all stand the test of time. He said that what people ultimately want in life, is validation in some way. I think that's true. You're worth something. You are not a worthless human being. I think in our psyche, believe this is the most deepest and profound need that we have, is to think that we're not fucking useless. We have qualities, virtues that are valued by others and to ourselves even sometimes. But mostly I would say others. Society is essential, I think, to our survival. Um, so the question then becomes, where do you get the validation from? And if it's going to be an external source, which you cannot control, the problem with that is that if you now depend on that thing for validation, you lose the title I put in the video, you lose sovereignty, which just means you lose control over one aspect of your life and you become ruled by that element. So, as an example, when I was seeking validation from the popularity, I would say, or the attention of girls in my English class, well, my mood would go up and down like a roller coaster depending on how many students came to class. If I had one night where I had one student, 0 students, and 1 student, and that did happen, rarely, but it did happen, I'd feel like shit, honestly. I'd feel miserable, like I didn't eat my lunch, dinner. I'd feel fucked up, miserable, honestly. Also, I love my job so much that even on my days off, I'd start to feel lonely. So the thing is that there it is, right? The school providing all those girls an attention, and they showered me with attention, these students. It fueled my validation. Like it filled my validation needs immensely. And that's why I love my job. And even to this day, I still feel that the times in which I taught English at the English school were the best days of my life, bar none. It exceeds the great accomplishments, quote unquote, that making the app did. That in itself was very awesome too. But I will tell you, you ask me, here's a memory machine. You get to replay a part of your life at a certain age, let's say 5-year span. Which do you choose? Okay, I will include at the very end the release of the app first version and the fucking like crazy money it got. But I kid you not, I would want to relive the teaching times, not the app times. Because the validation I got there was constant, incessant, and it was from the opposite sex. I loved it. It was wonderful. It's like, yeah, you don't have money to buy nice things, but do you need nice things in life if girls are coming at you all the time? Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And they want to, they want, it's nice. It's really nice. It feels awesome. And yeah, you go, oh, scumbag, scum. You know what I realized in life? The labeling and condemnation of others generally is not predicated on moral grounds. It's predicated on jealousy. Those who call other people who have multiple wives or partners as scumbags, that's because they want it too, deep down inside, and can't get it. Okay, there are those who could get it and condemn that on moral grounds. Those are ultra rare, guaranteed. They do not exist. If they're unicorns. The majority of people who poo-poo on others who have multiple partners are those who desire it for themselves, but just lack the qualities to get it. Honestly, I am not joking. If I could have 26 kids like Elon Musk, I'd do the same fucking thing. Honestly, and you say to yourself you don't want that? Why? You don't want responsibility-free extension of your DNA? Get the fuck out of here. Why? Because of your wife? You're kidding me. Sometimes I think we're deluded. We're actually deluded on what everyone wants in this world. I really am kind of against marriage because marriage is basically, in my mind, a social construct to foster stability in society. It's true, I think. This is true. If the majority of people don't get married, it could be kind of a shit show in terms of like everyone sleeping with each other and you let nature take control. But hey, that's the kind of world I like to see sometimes, honestly. Two people staying, and that's why marriage doesn't really work the way we think. It's not happens ever after. Of course not. Here's the thought. If men and women were actually designed to be monogamous and be with each other, why do you even need marriage? Like, do you need a social construct to enforce boyfriend-girlfriend? Like, do you need, before we fuck, we got to go to the city hall and sign papers saying, hey, we're boyfriend-girlfriend, we're going to fuck, and if we fuck, if we get STDs, well, this is what we're going to do. No, you don't do that, right? It all goes informally as planned, whatever you want. Because in the situation of boyfriend-girlfriend, everyone's interests are aligned. The law doesn't have to intervene on anything. And you're having sex? Who's that going to hurt? Right? You're going to love hotels? Great. Procreating? Great. God knows that Japan needs people to have more sex and have more kids. Why would the law get involved in this? Now, you have kids. Want them to be properly raised. Stability. Yeah, maybe you need that extra counterweight. But the counterweight exists because the nasty desires exist. Of course. Why do you need a counterweight for nothing? It makes no sense. What I'm trying to get at is, why does a heavy counterweight like marriage exist? It's because of the other side, which is the man and woman want to fuck around. They want to fuck around. Don't kid yourself. The delusion is, I meet my partner and that's it for life. You can twist it that way. I think it works if you like a horse with blinders. But like I told any woman, I'll challenge them, hey, you think you got your husband, right? Bring one of these porn girls into his fucking house and see if he can keep his dick in his pants. Honestly, how long that will take. Try it. Test his loyalty, honestly. Give it a month. Let that fucking gorgeous tit woman with a shaved pussy in your house for one fucking month and see if he doesn't like touch her in some indecent way. Of course he will. Of course he will. Right? And you want your marriage papers to save you from this? It's not happening. But what you can do is horse on blinders, right? Or jerk off in private. Right? Although I'm going to tell you, if you were a man of great abilities, I mean, wouldn't you want the real thing at some point? I'm just saying. Don't judge these people. The winners of society for having multiple partners and children. That's normal. I don't know what to tell you. The absence of multiple partners is abnormal. People like Denzel Washington, Barack Obama, abnormal. Like it's really weird. Anyway, I digress from my point. Back to sovereignty, which is to say that if you have your source of validation coming from an external source, you are now beholden to it. First it was English Garden, the teaching. Then it was the app. You think, all roses? No. Because every day you're looking at what? Sales. more or less than yesterday, right? And as we know, a human brain has a very nasty way of adapting, neuroadaptation or homeostasis, whatever you call it. There was a day when having 10 sales would have been enough, but not when you get 300 for a week. Now you want 500, 1,000, 2,000. It just keeps going up and up and up. The expectations rise without bounds. And when it fails to go above a certain number, a bit of distress comes in. You go, okay, I'll live with that. You're settling, though. You just really want more, though. But I wouldn't... The amount of roller coasters I went emotionally from the ups and downs of sales, when people write shit reviews about your app, and they do. Sometimes they're honest reviews. Sometimes they're from your competitors who don't like the fact that you've been taking their sales away from them, and they shouldn't like it. It's basically the same old like gorilla ape, competition thing. Again, you invade someone's territory. I guess you should be prepared for a violent response. Don't get yourself there, huh? So I remember those great days were tinged with constant checking of the reviews that I was getting and constant checking the sales numbers. I almost forget now how awful it felt. It was an awful feeling. Honestly, a lot of that checking of the sales to validate myself, honestly, to validate the product, and therefore as a product as an extension of my own psyche or ego, myself. Whenever I checked the sales of the app, it was a validation check. I kid you not. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people do that with their YouTube channels too, if you are a YouTuber, right? Your subscriber count, follower count. It will influence the way you feel today. And I don't know how that is. All I know is that it's a form of suffering and misery. It can be a source of joy, but unless you are on the uptrend, on the upswing, things don't go up in perpetuity. It will eventually flatten out and come down at some point. Otherwise, you'll end up with like 1 billion subscribers. It will not happen. The whole world will eventually be subscribed to you. It's not possible. So it has to stop at one point, right? But, you can make your peace with it and say, hey, I'm just doing better than other people. And so I'm happy with this number. So in the absence of an upper bound, I guess the upper bound will be, are you number one or not, right? And I couldn't maintain number one in the App Store. I was number 2 at one point in paid. And for a one-man shop, that was regarded as being very remarkable. And it sustained that rank for over 10 years, which is also very remarkable, or so I've heard. But I removed the app from the App Store. My wife will not ever understand why, because she's never, to her, the app was never an extension of her psyche. She just saw it as free money. And money for the kids. She'll never understand this. So when I pull it off the App Store, she's like, what the fuck you doing? What about the kids? What about the kids? Okay. There's enough. You've received more than enough. Quit. Please stop. Stop this, please. Right? It's my first reaction. She's received hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. I'm not a multimillionaire. Okay? But like she has. Stop. And 2, the amount of fucking stress I went through maintaining this goddamn thing, it may not be visible to you. Because one thing I regained from not being beholden to the is to cut the psychological ties between myself and the app. So it's too difficult though to just leave it there and have it dwindle at like 1 or 2 purchases a day. So I'd rather just cut the whole thing. Now it may sound immature, and it's because I'm not ready to confront it yet. It's too difficult. What I want to say is though, there's more to that than that. When you are checking your sales every day, the natural response is to get frantic and do the immediate thing that would boost the sales up. For a lot of people, that's advertising, because that will show an immediate response. However, that response is very short-lived. If you want long-term success, there has to be an inner quality to the product, I believe, or whatever it is you're offering. There has to be an actual foundation of something. It can't all be fluff. There has to be a virtue, beauty, quality in the product. Just take MKBHD as an example. His channel is long-term success. No wonder why. His visuals are wonderful. His voice, great. His angle, his views, sharp. It may not be top tier on any single dimension. Actually, I think in visuals, that guy's top tier. He's no one better, right? There might be people who are more interesting or more loud or more like, catch you by surprise. But if you want a controlled, predictable, semi-predictable channel about tech that has good looks, good sound, good production values, look no further. These base virtues for being a high quality ensure the continued success of his channel. Now, he can get propped up. Now, nowadays, he's too big to get propped up or down. Right? He will prop others up or down. But I mean, like, you can get propped up or down by other things. But at the end of the day, it is, I think, the base virtues of the channel that prop up his success. And the same goes with everything else, and like with apps too. If you're just a fluff piece, if it's just a fart app, if it's just flavor of the day material, well, be prepared to have zero sales in 1 month, right? Because you'll come and go like the wind. But if you have base value that survives time, that's because there's a holy virtue, okay, inside there that people want. And the thing is, being tied to your sale count all the time makes you lose sight of what those virtues are. It does. You start to go to the dark side, I would say, and employ more dirty tactics to raise up your numbers, which in turn will raise them, but at what cost? You're now stuck paying advertisers and stuff. Like, if done in a controlled manner, I think it's not a bad thing. It's just a knee-jerk reactions abound, right? The trick there is either you do not look at the sales charts and leave it for what it is, or you can try to develop a thick skin and look at it and stare into the abyss, basically, and just live with it. Now, that's harder. I generally don't think I'm strong enough for that. So, even my own streams, when I finish, I don't want to see the zero count. I just close the window. You don't look at it. Chicken shit? Maybe. But it works. You see? If someone said at me, okay, after every stream, stare at your screen. Do you see the zero viewers? You're so full of shit. No one cares about what you have to say. Zero. You can make that argument. I would stop streaming from psychological damage. Would that be good for me? No. This is a source of therapy for me. So what I do is, to encourage the repeated streams, I control what I can. I don't have to look at the zero count. I can close it. That's under my control. I do that. Why? Some will condemn chicken shit. But what's the value of confronting it? I just want to continue streaming because I love it. It's fun. So that's one example. And with the app, the reason why I quit the app is because I don't want to be beholden to sales anymore, and I want to do something new. I still have enough energy left in this aging body to create something new. I can't create something new if my hands are always tied behind why are sales going down. Maybe I should do something. Panic, panic, panic. That panic, by the way, is what drove me to insanity. And I am so happy to have gotten rid of this connection. I don't like it. I would rather be in the game, but I don't like the way I was in the game before. It was a losing game, by the way. I was in the paid app market. That's a losing game in the long run sometimes. But I wanted to redo the whole thing. And that does require that you tear something down first. And that's what I did. I will revive it in time, but I don't think it's I don't think it should, I think it should RIP, rest in peace. It has done its course. The app has lived a good life, and it should be put to rest, I feel, or revived as a child of something that I'm working on right now. It will be revived. It's just I don't want to see something die slowly in pain and suffering. I'd rather be I'm the one who takes it down, not the public. So back to the issue of sovereignty. I think sovereignty is huge. Like when you own your own land and own your own house, you make your own rules for yourself within your own walls. When you are not beholden to, this is the hard part though. If you're not beholden for validation from external sources, you are really free. I mean, you are free as you could. You are free as fuck. You can go out on the middle of the street and sing and hum. Well, not too loud. The city will come in and intervene if you're being a total nuisance. But you can do whatever the fuck you want. Because you don't care if your neighbors like you or not. Now, how can you do that, right? They talk about, Carl Jung talks about this, right? And there's a video that some really good YouTube channel was recommended to you in the morning. It's because you yourself become your own. It's complicated. There's mentions of silence, but essentially those who are the own arbiters of their own self-worth, or have an ability to conjure it up, not by faking it. I forgot what it was. Either you just recognize the whole process of how we're constantly seeking validation, and you just try to deal with it in other ways. And it will grant you the freedom, if you can be sovereign, I suppose, the fancy word is to take control, or be sovereign over your own needs for validation. Ironically, it commands more validation. Like, the concept was very interesting. It's like, if you are too responsive, too available to the needs of others, then others will start to manipulate you or play you around, because that's what you are presenting yourself to be. You are empty. You're an empty vessel that can be filled. So if other people want to override you're making yourself available. What was the line? Things that are predictable and always available end up becoming a tool. I thought that was a very great line. That's right. When you become unpredictable or say no, then you stop being a tool. Think about why I like computers so much. They're a tool. They're extremely predictable to the point where they're fighting back against it. They introduce RNG through strange methods. The computer itself is a intrinsically 100% deterministic machine. But I like it for that fact. It's a tool. It's predictable. It's available. I like tools. I want my girls to be tools, actually, but not entirely. A little bit of it is good, but it's true. The moment you start becoming unpredictable or say no, there's like an essence of you now. You're not just a malleable tool. There's an element in what makes you unpredictable. It's going to be a thing. That's who you are. I guess that's you. You not being malleable is you, isn't it? And you have to find what that is sometimes. When people want to find themselves, it's because they've been trying so hard to serve others, to get validation, that they suppress themselves and they conform to whatever society needs of them. I'll be your bitch. I'll be whatever the fuck you want me to be, right? That's the line from Training Day. Jake says to Denzel, he says, I'll be whatever you want me to be. And he goes, my nigga, right? Right. But Denzel soon discovers, and not really. If you cross certain lines, Jake starts to show his true colors. That's why the movie's interesting. So, point being is that if you can not depend on someone else for the validation. It liberates you, right? And here lies a really thing. I think a lot of marriages are held together by the fact that one seeks validation from the other. In my case, I think for my wife and I, it was both ways. I mean, the wife needed survival, and I provided it, and I needed validation from her, and she provided it. But when that broke down, it all broke down. If I couldn't provide, it breaks down. If she can't validate me, it breaks down too. And of course, it breaks apart. The interesting relationship would be the one that neither seeks validation from the other, but they're partners in some way. They're like co-conspirators for the crime or something. That kind of relationship may survive, right? But there's all kinds, I believe. But I do believe that in some way a noble pursuit is to regain sovereignty over your own validation needs. And that can be very difficult. I think it's one of the most hardest things ever, because how do we even know we're worth anything, honestly? And I'm not faking it. I mean, as shallow as it sounds, sometimes possessions, just having more than the other person, it works. It works. You know, at the end of the day, you can say, hey, I may be a scumbag, I may be stupid, I may talk too fast, but at least I have a bigger house. I mean, hey, it works. It's shallow, but it works. But there's other things too, right? Like, whatever it is, that can make you feel like, okay, I've got something of some, that's why I like cooking. Cooking reinforces that you have value. Why? Because everyone needs food. If you can produce good food, how can you be of zero value? Correct? If you have a marketable skill that you can practice all the time, how can you be of zero value if you have these skills? It makes sense, right? That's why going about these skills is good, I think. Cooking in particular, though, everyone's got to eat good. Everyone loves good food. So if you can provide good food, that's why I think whenever I try to make a better dish, I never think it's wasted energy. I think it's well worth the time to pursue it. When I say delicious, I don't mean just slop a lot of unhealthy shit on it and have it. I mean, like, there's ways of cooking. The more I learn about cooking, the more I realize a lot of it is getting the right balance. You cook it the right way, quote unquote, and you just use your own tongue and just eat it, and you'll know the food speaks to you. You get feedback from your brain in many ways. When you nail it, oh man, you nail it. Like, your brain goes like, oh, this is right, do it again. When you get it wrong, your brain was like, ugh, don't do that ever again. Cooking is easy in that sense, is that you have a direct feedback system right in your own animal part of your brain. You will know right away if you did a good job or not, okay? I love shit like that. Whereas business is harder, yeah? Sometimes you're not sure, is a customer stupid? Or you need a bit of a kick. The feedback is not always, the signal is not always a good one. But that's a different story. I don't really know about that, really. Anyway, make breakfast now, and I'm going to have fun making breakfast.